Welcome into the Hoist The Colours podcast, a very special edition. It is our first postseason chat with ECU baseball coach Cliff Godwin. And Coach, it's been a few weeks since the end of the season. I know you've been busy. How you doing?
I'm doing good. It's funny that you said that, been busy. You know, a bunch of donors text me, a couple of days, hey, take some time off. And I'm like, you can't take any time off right now or you're not going to be good next year. So just the way the landscape of college athletics is, it's not going, it's there, and you've got to recruit, you've got to, get guys on campus, do all those things. So we have all the assistants, everybody have been working their tails off ever since this season was over.
I do want to get into the 23 club and just kind of how college sports, college baseball is going, but let's first look back. I want to talk about this senior class, but also the season that was. 46 wins again. I think 6 straight years, 44 or more wins. So how proud are you of that group? I know it didn't end how you wanted it to, but just kind of looking back at the 2024 season.
Yeah, it was an unbelievable group. It's one of my most favorite groups I've ever been a part of. No, it never ends the way you want to unless you're, playing the national championship and you win the national championship. Everybody's sad if you don't win the last game, and then you're sad because there's going to be seniors and guys that are drafted are not a part of your team. But this group really was a close-knit group. Of course, we had some injuries down the end that affected our pitching, and we weren't the same team, but our guys grinded to the end. So super proud of them, not only what they did on the field, but what they did in the community. I mean, what Carter Cunningham and some of our other guys have done in the community. There's no monetary value in that, even though Carter raised over $30,000 for the Children's Hospital. But the seniors, man, that's why I was so emotional after Monday's loss. Was I just felt like they deserved better, for what they had done, and it wasn't in the cards. I think they gave me everything they had, but it just wasn't in the cards for us to win on that Monday.
And it's always, I don't know, ECU likes to do things in difficult ways. Not that y'all were trying to lose the Friday game, but you lost it. And then it almost felt like once y'all got past Wake Forest, it was going to be a repeat of 2019. I think maybe the difference was Evansville was really good. I mean, you don't go into Tennessee and win a game unless you're really good. But I don't know, can you put your finger on what happened on that Monday game, or is it just y'all ran out of gas from your perspective?
Well, I mean, look, we pitched 2 guys that knew they were going into the portal. I've told some of the older guys that, hey, man, I know this is a tough pill to swallow. It's tough for me to say it out loud, but I wouldn't have pitched either one of them. I'd have thrown position players, and I don't mean that disrespectful for anybody, but ECU baseball wasn't built on individuals, and really it was karma taking over that, hey, you got guys out there that are not bought into what we were doing here. And look, I don't dislike those guys. That's fine. They're not ECU baseball players, because ECU baseball players believe in something bigger than themselves, and that's fine, and they moved on. But at the end of the day, man, there's a core group of guys coming back, like specifically Ethan Norby and Dixon Williams. Stuff that fires me up, that makes me as motivated as the day I took the job is, Dixon Williams told me in his exit meeting that Ethan Norby walked up to him in the outfield on Monday when everybody's crying and said, hey, it's our time. Like, we're not doing this anymore. Like, we're not losing again. And Ethan Norby asked, could he not go pitch in summer baseball this summer because he needed to be here with the new incomers for summer school. That's how I know we're going to continue to be successful, because we got guys like that in the locker room.
What are those early days after the season where you're, obviously kind of learning about guys that are in the portal? Like, how do you handle the emotional side of that? Because you invest a lot in these guys, and it's so easy for guys to leave now, and kind of those conversations you have to have.
I just told you this. I mean, when a guy's in my backyard the day before in my pool and eating our food, and he walks in here in 30 seconds, tells me that he's leaving, I'm not getting emotionally bent out of shape. JC called me Wednesday night. I was actually talking to Kevin Youngs on the phone. It's like 10 o'clock at night, and JC's beeping in. And I'm like, Kevin, let me take this. I don't know, but JC don't normally call me at 10 o'clock. And, of course, my mind goes to the worst. I'm like, JC's in trouble, and he needs me. So I was like, let me answer that. And this makes this place special to me. JC's like, Coach, are you okay? I said, JC, I'm great. I said, Monday and Tuesday I was in a bad headspace because we lost, and I was mentally just beat up. But for guys to walk in my office and tell me that they're leaving East Carolina and they want to be, hey, dude, they don't beat me up anymore, because that's going to happen. I want guys that want to be here.
The new era of college sports, NIL, is definitely in baseball now. I mean, you're experiencing it firsthand. So the 23 club, talk about the importance of that first and how crucial it is to benefit the returning players. And I don't know if you guys are utilizing it with incoming players, but just the overall benefits of that program.
It's huge. I mean, obviously Hank Kenton, has done a great job spreading the word, and Mike Harrington. But for baseball-specific donors to the 23 club, this is the time that we need it because of, retaining guys. And we only have 11.7 scholarships. It's amazing. I'm having to continue to just to educate people. Like, it's not football and basketball. Football and basketball, they're on full rides, and the NIL is just, hey, they're making money. Our guys aren't making money. We're trying to just cover expenses for players. If they're on 33%, to somehow get some NIL money for them to cover something that will help them out. But they're not making money. We don't have that kind. And I don't want to go buy players. I want us to be able to help people cover their expenses. And if they're coming for a paycheck, as I told the incomers on Wednesday, if you're trying to get rich, wrong spot. If you're trying to become a great baseball player and develop and have an opportunity to get drafted high like Trey Savage or Gavin Williams or Connor Norby or Alec Burleson, this is the place for you. If you're looking for your paycheck to happen in college, you need to go somewhere else. And you're also going to become a better person. And that's why I'm still here at East Carolina, is because I believe in this place and I believe in the people that we have in our organization.
How has funding gone with the 23 club? And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but is the vision, the hope one day to maybe, let's say you got 40 guys on the roster, cover, obviously not all of them get a scholarship, but at least get something to help towards paying for school and expenses and everything?
Yeah, that's the goal. I mean, the perfect world scenario would be everybody, would have everything covered, even if you're on non-scholarship or you're getting a small percentage scholarship. And just go back to scholarship stuff. I had a parent, was like, hey, so-and-so's on 70%. So I'm like, no, they're not. I was like, we have 11.7. How do you think that is divided up? And I'm reading off the list without names. 27, 25, 0, 0, 33, 43. That was Trey Savage. Hey, pretty good player. Alec Burleson was on 33%. Turner Brown was on 25%. Brickhouse was on 25%. Packard was on 25%. You can't have a great team if you're putting people on full rides. You just can't. Mackenzie Gore got offered 66%, and he signed for $6.7 million out of high school because that's baseball, not unlike football and basketball.
How much can you utilize, the story of Trey Savage, who came here, guy who did develop, and I'm sure he had other opportunities going to last year, but he's going to get a pretty good payday here in about a month's time. And how much does that help you guys on the recruiting trail?
Well, if you want to become great, you come here. We'll develop guys to the best of ability. Our coaching staff's awesome. I mean, Jeff, AK, Henry, having Pack and Franny around, Heath Blackman, our director of player development, Blake Hart. They develop people, but they also develop players to becoming better. I mean, Trey Savage is going to sign for millions of dollars. If he'd have went into the portal, he could have got an immediate payday. I don't know, $200,000 to $400,000. But how about if he'd have went and pitched somewhere else and his ERA was 4 or 5? Well, now you lose millions. So, is it smart to go run for the money right now when you could be a first rounder? Probably not the most educated decision, but some of them make that decision.
No doubt. And, Coach, there's a lot of buzz recently about South Carolina. They had an open – one of your former bosses, Paul Maneri, gets that job. But they're interested in Cliff Godwin. And I know that obviously I'm sure they reached out. Just what can you say about that process? And, again, returning to East Carolina for your 11th season upcoming.
Yeah, they reached out. Ray Tanner is an unbelievable AD, obviously a baseball guy. And, I don't want to talk specifics, but just know this, that Cliff Godwin's here because he wants to be here. And if I didn't want to be here, I wouldn't be here. And for people that are frustrated that we haven't gone to Omaha yet, well, East Carolina's never been. And if they think they can go find somebody else, then that's fine. But we're here because we want to be here. Our coaches want to be here and the players that want to be here. And there's been several times I could have ran for the money. And I have never done it because I believe in something way bigger than a monetary value.
We're visiting with the head coach, Cliff Godwin, your coaching staff as well. I know there are some changes with the support staff. Blake's still working, but he's moving on. And just kind of walk us through that process, too, because that's something else you're having to transition with some this offseason, too.
Yeah, so never a dull moment. Dennis Wilson is going to get out of college athletics and go into more of a military training, strength conditioning role, which I don't think he has exactly the job that he's looking for yet, but we had talked about that in the middle of the season, and I was like, hey, we're just going to finish out the season, and then we'll hire somebody. So actually, you're going to be the first one that hears this. All the paperwork went through yesterday, but we're hiring Hunter Reeves from Troy. He will be our new baseball strength coach. Super fired up about him. So, not only were we dealing with recruit visits last week, we had strength coaches coming in to interview, but super fired up about him. He's going to be a great addition. And then Blake's working through July 31st, and, the position will come open in July. And, we have some good guys that already have reached out, and we feel good about that as well.
Visiting with Cliff Godwin here in our first postseason chat, and you guys have had recruiting visits going on along with the incoming players. So how was the transfer portal recruiting gone? And kind of, we've always talked about it. This place is all about development. It will always be that way. But, bringing in some of those guys, how crucial is that maybe this offseason for you?
Well, we've got one that, I can't specifically comment on, but he's a veteran player, a really good player, will provide versatility as a position player for us, and he hits right-handed, so and he's got juice, so that's a good thing, and he's a great person. It's a great fit for us, and we've known him for a long time and recruited him and all that out of high school. We have had some pitchers in here, so we have not gotten any to say yes yet, because as you know, it's a crazy world out there, but we have a couple guys that we're really high on, and we're continuing to recruit until some of those guys say yes. But as I've told several people that are worried about how it's going to look next year, I bet against us and see what happens. So I'm fully confident of what we have done here and how we do it. And our position players weren't as talented as Wake Forest, but who won the game? The ECU Pirates did, because we got a bunch of tough dudes, and we'll be ready to go when the season opens up next year.
Are there any, specific needs as you look at the portal? Like you mentioned pitchers. Would you like to add other position players, or is it kind of to be determined?
It's to be determined, but pitching is the priority right now. I mean, just a couple, older guys that can help solidify the staff. I'll say this, the incoming group that we got coming in, I would say that is the most talented. It's a big class. I mean, we'll have more newcomers than we've ever had, which we knew that coming in this year because of the big senior class that we had, and of course the guys that will get drafted. So, but I'm super fired up. They got on campus on Wednesday. They've been doing some mental game stuff with Blake. I was actually in there listening to him today, and Austin Irby presented today, and I was like, man, this is awesome. Like, he did just an unbelievable job presenting day 2 of the mental game.
When you look at the guys coming back for next year, and I made a point the other day, like all the seniors you brought up after the final game, you look at them their first year or two in the program, they have been guys who developed, hadn't really played a whole lot, from Starling to Carter Cunningham, Wilcoxon, like that whole group, Barini. So, like, how important is this offseason for those guys to really, take that next step developmentally?
Yeah, it's important. People don't really know who Nick Parham is, but Nick Parham's super talented. He's playing up in Charlottesville. But if he's consistent, man, he's got a chance to be a premium shortstop. Obviously, he's got to go out there and do it. Colby Wallace obviously played. He's a two-way player. He's up in Charlottesville as well. They need to continue to develop. But I would say this: I'm super excited about that core group that's coming back. And I just mentioned a couple guys. D'Lo will be back in the summer as well. Jaden Winter will be back here in the summer as well. Just helping those new guys transition into our culture and stuff. And that's the biggest thing that I'm fired up about, is because I think it's a big group that's talented, and I think they're hard workers, which is going to be awesome.
When you look at Dixon Williams, played a lot of third last year, but really you look at him, Colby, and obviously one of the guys that y'all have committed coming in, like a lot of position versatility on that infield. So will that be kind of an interesting scenario for you guys to kind of figure out who slots best maybe this offseason? Well,
we like versatility, man, because you never know when the injury is going to pop up. I mean, the fact that Starling goes down, Dixon can slide to second, and Colby goes into third base. I think Colby will probably pitch a little bit more next year. So how does that look? Does he need to play some more first base to save his arm, or does he need to play third and he can manage it? We'll see. But Dixon's super versatile. I mean, he can play third, he can play short, he can play second, he can play all the positions in the outfield. He played first base last summer up in Bethesda. So there's really not a position except maybe catching that Dixon can't play. And obviously it was awesome to see him, man, just perform like he did down the stretch when every fan was like, oh my God, he's not, his batting average is not good at the beginning of the season. And, the guy was one of our best hitters down the stretch, and, hit the big 3-run homer off Chase Burns. So super excited by him.
The catching position, do you have a feel for Ryan McChrystal is his draft eligible year and what he may do, and then obviously Walker Barron coming back? How excited are you about his future in the program as well?
First off, on Ryan, I think he'll probably get an opportunity to play professional baseball. From everything I hear, what we've done with all those juniors is just say, hey, look. If you get what you want, man, take it. If you don't, then you will have you'll have your either scholarship or NIL money. Like, we'll cover all that stuff. So for those guys to come back. But I think he'll be, playing professional baseball, but crazier things have happened. And I wish the best for Ryan. I mean, he played great down the stretch. The last 3 months, he played really well. Walker, he had to have his mouth wired shut right after we lost on Monday because he broke his jaw when he had that collision in the conference tournament, and he wasn't available. That's another thing, like, people don't even know. Like, obviously, we faced the lefty against Evansville. Walker's not available all weekend because of the broken jaw, because we got x-rays on that Wednesday because his jaw kept bothering him. But man, he really got better offensively. We need him to continue to tick up a little bit, more consistently behind the plate, catching wise. And then you've got two young guys, the two freshmen that are on our roster that we're excited about, and they provide depth, and I feel good about it.
Visiting with Cliff Godwin, and a lot was made the last few years, Coach, about being so left-handed heavy at times, and at times that was an advantage, at times maybe a slight disadvantage. And
well, it's a huge advantage against Chase Burns. So
there's no doubt.
Hey, I mean, you got no shot if you're right-handed. So we only had to hit Starling, so you got no shot right-handed, and that was a huge advantage. But if you can pull up our splits, and I hadn't even looked at them since the season, but they're pretty. Thing we've done a good job of. It doesn't matter if they're lefty or righty. Like, our splits are about the same if you pull it up the past 2 years. And I think last year we actually hit lefties better than righties.
Do you feel with the incoming class, is it more right-handed hitters? I think when I looked at it, it was about even, but I'm just curious on that standpoint.
Yeah, I would say it's about even with the incoming class, and you don't know which guys are going to play. Right. So. But we definitely will have more right-handed hitters and more right-handed options than we had this past year.
Cliff Godwin with us. I know you always worry about East Carolina. In the conference, I thought it was interesting. South Florida hiring Indiana State's coach and some of the moves going on. Do you pay attention to that stuff at all? Just because I think it is important for the conference to get better so y'all can host regionals and be better from an RBI standpoint.
Yeah, I think it's a great hire for South Florida. I don't know much about the head coach. I just know that he's done a really good job at Indiana State. So I'm like, hey, this dude's going to be in a better recruiting area, so it's just going to get better. It's going to make our conference better. Billy's an unbelievable guy. I hate it for him and his assistant coaches. I reached out to him when I saw the news. I would tell you this, I haven't been on social media consistently for a month other than posting my devotionals and following a recruit here and there. So I don't know what the hell's going on out there, and it's awesome. So, and it's just put me in a better headspace, just put my head down and go to work. And so all these job moves, I got no idea what's happening, to be honest with you.
Do you, after, obviously y'all lost to Evansville, do you watch them against Tennessee, or do you just, turn off college baseball for a while? Like the College World Series going on, do you try to watch any of it?
I have not watched much of it at all. We followed it some. Blake and I went down. We flew to Tampa to see Norby. So, we flipped it on. Like, the score was tied in the hotel room before we went to the Rays-Orioles game. But definitely have not watched it consistently at all. Of course, I was pulling for, UVA because of Coach Mack and stuff. But Vitella reached out to me, after we lost to Evansville to just talk to him about him, and Frank Anderson too. So, talking to some coaches, but not really dialed in on what's going on.
Makes sense. And, a lot was made about after the Evansville game where you were, going through the handshake line, and you did shake his hand, by the way, and all their coaches' hands.
And we would have shaken their team's hand if their players had not been giving us the middle finger and calling us F and P. So, and look, man, I can handle losses. I've had tough losses, but when they're on our field and they're taunting our players, and that's why I was very animated talking to their head coach, because it's his job for them to show class. And he said, we've never been here, we know how to act. So it's your job for them to know how to act. And then I just told JJ, I said, hey, man, we can't shake hands because it's going to be a fight, and it's just going to be ugly because our kids got their hearts ripped out from under them, and all of them, just like me, up until the first baseman caught the ball. Like, I thought the guy was going to throw it in the dugout. Like, I just no way that's going to end that way. So I'm not going to tolerate that for our guys to be disrespected. So, and that's what happened.
We touched on the junior class a little bit earlier, Ryan McChrystal. Wyatt Lunch for Sheeman kind of falls in that scenario too, where he could obviously go pro. Any gut feeling on him, kind of with the uneven end to the season, or are y'all just telling him if he gets the chance to go?
Well, I mean, look, that's going to be up to Shink, his family, and his advisor. But Shink knows how much we value him here, and if he doesn't get what he's looking for, he knows to pick up the phone, call me, and we'll take care of him. And we'll call a big donor and say, hey, we need some extra NIL money for him because he's earned it from that standpoint. But we definitely want to take care of him if he doesn't get that opportunity to get what he wants.
The unfortunate injuries like to him, and obviously Root, who's chosen to move on. I don't know. Is there anything y'all can learn from that, or was it just kind of freak deals? As far as pitching injuries, some of that unfortunate circumstances.
I think people don't always see what goes on behind the scenes, but there's a lot of evaluation that goes on every single day. A lot of conversations that happen amongst our program behind the scenes that people got no idea. So of course there's evaluation of all that stuff because if those guys don't go down, then we win the regional. We put ourselves in a better situation. We're not the 16th seed, all that stuff. So, we're definitely a process of, handling all that stuff.
And then, with Trey, we haven't really had a chance to really focus on his end of the season after the lung injury. But, his performance, I thought, was one of the more miraculous, incredible things I've seen. So, obviously, y'all didn't win the regional, but that game, I always remember it. For your perspective, just watching that unfold, what can you even say about that effort?
It's the gutsiest, grittiest performance and the biggest moment I've ever seen by a pitcher. I've never seen somebody come off an injury like that and take the ball against going to be the highest drafted college pitcher in the country and outperform him. It was unbelievable. And for him to be so emotional when I go out there, take him out of the game, I mean, there's still the Treya Savages and the Carter Cunninghams and the Ryley Johnsons of the world, and I could keep naming Danny Bill, Joey Barini, Justin Wilcoxon. They just care so much about this place. But for a guy that could have gone into the portal and he didn't, and he's going to be able to sign for millions of dollars, there's nobody that deserves it more than Treya Savage.
Ryley Johnson just recently named Gold Glove winner, which is awesome. I know he's got a big offseason with some surgeries. So what will his status be? And I'm assuming he's got quite a bit of rehab ahead of him too.
As I told him, I had surgery on Monday on his left shoulder, and he took a picture of himself in the hospital bed or right in the recovery room. And I said, just like riding a bike, man. Hey, you've done this before, but he'll be rehabbing the left shoulder, and then a month or 6 weeks out, I have the right shoulder done. But he'll be an assistant coach like he was this past fall, really, and helping out the young guys. And man, just a big piece coming back. I mean, he's the best defensive center fielder I've ever coached, and what he did for our team and what he had to do to just play every day, man. I just wish people could have seen behind the scenes because it was unbelievable.
Hopefully it clears it up to where he doesn't. I'm sure he'll have to do some stuff, but not the rigorous things he had to do pregame last year. And then Jake Hunter, what's the latest on him with his arm injury?
So he had surgery. Oh man, it's probably been a month ago now. It might be 3 weeks ago now. He had the brace put in. Dr. Meister, the Rangers team doc, did his surgery. It actually looked even better than what they thought it did. So he had the brace put in. There's an outside chance that he can pitch next year. Him and his mom came back, I guess it's been 2 weeks ago now. We sat down and talked, and he was like, Coach, I got great news. I can pitch in March. And I was like, Jake, I love you. And I'm just going to, hey, look, man, you go through your rehab, and if you're good to go in March, that'll be up to you and your family. And if we're ready to go, that's awesome. But if not, I'm not going to put you at risk. So just make sure that you're ready to go. It's going to be icing on the cake if we get you back in March.
All these injuries, Coach, the rosters, we mentioned scholarship, the portal, NIL. I feel like juggling a baseball roster has to be among the toughest things in college sports. So just how do you sleep at night, thinking about all this stuff going on? I mean, it's got to be a lot of just to process and figure out with your coaching staff.
I'll say, well, number one, I got the best coaching staff in the country, and they help out a lot. Number two, lay my head down at night and know that we do things the right way. And the big man up top doesn't care how many wins I have, but it's the amount of people that I can lead towards the gospel and help them be better human beings. And then, it's unbelievable. I mean, it's just a bad setup. And, people can talk about football and basketball, but think about this. You got to send out scholarship papers by July 1. So you got to send renewals and non-renewals by July 1. The portal closes July 2nd at 11:59. Terrible situation. The draft's July 14th. So it's an unbelievably bad system. And that's why for juniors that have a parent, like, we have to send them non-renewals, which I'm like, hey, man, like, you'll get a non-renewal. Tell your parents not to freak out, because if you don't get drafted, hey, we'll take care of you. But that's the situation we're putting, families, student athletes in. But it's supposed to be about the student athlete welfare. But we're letting donors reach out to kids before, and I say donors, whoever, travel coaches. Hey, look, if you go in the portal, I know a school will give you $400,000. Is that really what we want with society? But that's where we are right now.
Is there any talk of reworking the calendar on that, or is it just kind of is what it is?
NCAA just puts all the onus on the institutions, and hey, y'all figure it out. That's what they're doing right now, and just they don't want to get sued. So they're like, hey, pay them as much money as you want. We don't want to get sued. These are the rules. Sorry.
It's a tough situation for everybody. But I feel like college baseball, just the construction of it, makes it difficult, Coach. When you look at just the overall landscape, as we talked about, and obviously there's no doubt y'all have had success, consistent success, 5 straight championships, 44 wins or more, 6 straight seasons. How do you balance? You all have had success with the what y'all have done versus always adapting and evolving with the crazy landscape that is college sports. Trying to find that balance.
Yeah, it's hard, man, because we believe in people, but at the same time, we're trying to just take care of the guys that we have enough money for to just cover expenses. That's the thing. So this is the time, 23 Club, hey, if you got $5, give it, because it's really just helping our team. This is the biggest time that the 23 Club needs to have a big amount of money in it so we can retain the guys that we have in our program and keep moving forward.
For you, going into this offseason, you seem as motivated as ever.
I love when people doubt me, dude. I'm better. So I sent a message to our team, and I'm like, hey, dude, let people doubt us, man. I can't wait. So it's exciting for me. It's almost like my first year here when we weren't very talented. We'll be more talented with this group for sure, but I'm just excited to get to work with these guys.
It is. So for you, what's the biggest key to whether it be putting together the final piece of this roster going into the offseason, for you to see that come to fruition so you guys can prove some people wrong that I'm sure y'all won't be maybe preseason ranked next year and all that stuff.
It's awesome. And how you start is how you finish. But I just met with the incomers and told them that, we're going to have more incomers than we have returners, and that should be exciting for you guys. But I need you guys to grow up quick. Like some of you freshmen, hey, man, you got to believe in yourself. You got to have confidence. But confidence comes from working hard every single day and continue to get better. But you can't be scared of bright lights. It's an older game. That's fine. But we've got some talented young guys in here that can help. So get after it this summer. Take every day as an opportunity to get better. And like I said, I'm just super excited to start working with those guys.
He is head coach Cliff Godwin. Coach, we appreciate the time. Best of luck this offseason. Hopefully you get some downtime maybe at the beach in July or something. But we appreciate it as always.
Thanks, Igoe. Appreciate you, buddy.
He is Cliff Godwin. This has been the Hoist the Colours podcast.